officially live on Facebook today, chatting about. It's been a pretty big week for old Facebook and poor old Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. Look, there's been a lot happening in the world of Facebook. This live stream this week was actually going to be just about some of the updates happening in to Facebook advertising and some of the things and changes that they've made. And there actually has been quite a few that I'll post a link shortly to a blog post that does recap that. But we really can't do this live stream without talking about some of the big issues that have sort of popped up since the start of the week around Facebook and all things data, privacy, and misuse of that data as well. But first of all, if this is your first live stream with us, my name's Dan from Organic Digital. Thanks so much for joining us. This is the article that I'll post the link to the article in question in a second, and you'll see the link to go through and read about some of those other updates around ad metrics and marketplace placements, campaign, all real cool, nerdy, geeky stuff that if you're a Facebook advertiser, it certainly affects you. But there's been some big changes to the platform, particularly in the last 48 to 72 hours. And really, it's come about because of, unless you haven't caught up with the news, there was some a big news issue broke earlier in the week around a data firm called Cambridge Analytica. And you may have seen their name around the news, and it's got some pretty widespread coverage. And their misuse of data that they gathered during 2013 and 14, and how they then went on to use that misuse it for political purposes and to drive some reactions from people based on the information that they gathered during that 2014 period. Some facts about this at the moment, though, and this is where there's a lot of misreporting out there, so I just want to put it all out there. And look, what I'm going to go in today is you can take it with a grain of salt. I've obviously got sort of 2 foot in either camp. I've got I run my business on Facebook and I help people grow their business on Facebook. So, of course, I'm going to find ways to look at what is happening with the company, but also to making sure that I'm using that data appropriately. And then I'm still a Facebook user, and I'm like, I don't want my data used like this. So some of the misrepresentation of the reporting that's been out there is that there was a data breach in Facebook, and that's probably the biggest misused word, is the data breach, is that they actually broke into Facebook and stole that data. Actually, Cambridge Analytica got this willingly from participants, and the way they did that was through Facebook by using a couple of key apps that they connected to their own profile and gathered information from that, but it also got the information of their friends' profiles as well. So if you can think about the amount of friends that we have on Facebook, and even 5 years ago, it was still a relatively large platform, that you really don't need that many people to get a lot of information about a lot of different people. So I can't remember the exact numbers. It might have been 50 or 100,000 profiles that connected to these apps. But then if they've all got an average of 300 or 400 friends on Facebook, then all of a sudden that becomes a lot more people. And this company was very good at using that data, categorizing it, and putting it in a way that people could then use it or misuse that data. And that's really the key information. The key aspect that you need to remember is that they've taken the data from Facebook and they've used it in ways that they really shouldn't have. I'm just going to self-bigger there again. Again, if you're out there watching along, would love to know that you're there. Feel free to leave a comment as well. The other part, so I'm just going to make this slightly bigger again. Making sure that I can see everyone there as well. Awesome. So the company's got access to this data and they used it inappropriately. There's a guy named Christopher Wiley who was sort of the whistleblower for Cambridge Analytica, and I've got some resources and some reading in that article I'm going to post to around some of the information he spoke about and how it was used. It's pretty scary, and the fact that Facebook were dragged in front of Congress last year in regards to the 2016 election, and now this has come out afterwards. This is a pretty big blow for Facebook, and it's really going to potentially change a lot of their functionality and a lot of the way that advertisers can access that data and use that data. And since this information has come out, Mark Zuckerberg has sort of been playing catch up, and they have released a lot of changes, and we're going to go through those as well, and updates to the platform. So it's, make no mistake, like, this is a huge issue. This is probably going to be the biggest influence on Facebook and for Facebook advertisers in at least the last few years, particularly since they've grown exponentially in the user base, but also from an advertiser perspective. This is a big deal. And in the last 48 to 72 hours, they've made 3 big changes so far, and these things are happening as we speak. Literally today, one of the big things that was disabled was the third-party data partners. So Facebook strategically have partnered with data companies out there that gather data from people's real-life interactions. So if you've got like a mortgage, your credit card spending habits as well, if you've got a car loan, anything that you wouldn't necessarily put on Facebook or do online, but do in a real-life perspective, that data goes through to these data partners. Facebook have partnered with them, and then they basically connect their user information that they've got with the data that that company has, and advertisers can actually access that data. They pay a little bit more. It was about 15% on your advertising costs. So the actual influences that's made has removed those data partners and the ability to target them. So that's been just today. Yesterday, they disabled all ability for people to connect new pages to Facebook Messenger chatbots. So if you use ManyChat, Chatfuel, anything like that, if you're an existing user, you're fine. But I mean, you saw me last week banging on about Facebook Messenger bots and how you should connect it and just get it connected so you can start gathering subscribers. If there was ever a reason to be an early adopter, it was then, because for the next 1 to 2 weeks, they've completely disabled that possibility as well. So if you don't have it connected, you're not going to be able to create one for at least the foreseeable future. And one of the other big changes that has been made at the start of this week was they disabled the number of people that were in each of your custom audiences. So custom audiences and engagement audiences of people that have had an interaction with you before. So there might be things like your website visitors that are tracked on a pixel via Pixel, people that have watched a video, a percentage over that length of a video, down to people that have uploaded the data to the platform as well. Facebook aren't showing that number anymore, so until you start running ads to them, you don't actually know how many people are in that audience, and you start getting feedback on that. That makes it really hard as an advertiser, particularly when we're told to try and build those audiences as well. So they're really the 3 big changes that they've made, and I don't think they're going to stop making changes in the immediate future. Some of the stuff that they have actually released, and I'll go through some of their couple of their media releases. So to give you an idea, so I get a notification every time Facebook newsroom releases a new article. They might release like a couple every 1 to 2 weeks. They've released I think 7 in the past 5 days. This is one of the bigger ones where they've actually gone through to making your privacy and access to people's privacy tools easier to find. And that's been one of the big things, I think, for people, is that it's always been, like, you've always had the capability and possibility to go through and find out who you're being targeted by and who has access to your data. It's just bloody hard, and if you don't make it easy for people, they just simply won't do it. But also, to put that in perspective, if you take the search term Facebook privacy and punch it into Google Trends, this was kind of the week that everything sort of started to hit the fan. And these are the amount of people that are searching for Facebook privacy and how they can actually go through and download their data, which is something that they go through in this article here, and they give you a link directly to your settings, and you can download a copy of all of the data that Facebook has on you. A fair warning, it is pretty alarming how much data they do have on you. This is all of the ads topics that I've been targeted by and they're interested by, and pages that I'm interested in, all of my recent ads that I've clicked and interacted with. I've got all of the stuff that I used to have that I've posted about, all over here, all the different events. It's pretty crazy the amount of data that they've got on you, and they are fully transparent on that now. And look, I guess they have been. It just hasn't been easy to actually find that data for users. This was one of the first news releases they went down, and this is why they started restricting access to people that had abused their platform, and this Cambridge Analytica that had created these personality apps years ago. The damage had already been done by the time they started to crack down on some of this stuff. So it's kind of like, because it was so many years ago, everyone's sort of jumping up and down. This has been happening for quite a while. Unfortunately, these people, until Facebook just didn't keep up, I don't think, with their user growth and being able to put in the infrastructure to properly control what, properly put in controls to make sure that people don't go and misuse their data as well. Again, I'll put some links in the comments with some links to some key reading as well as the article. This was one that was really interesting around their stock levels that once the story did break. Stock levels, I think, dove about 3 billion, I think it was. So 40 billion, there you go, way off. I was way off. $40 billion in market value following the release of this information. So it is a big issue. And I think that's something that we probably need to talk about as advertisers. And that's another reason why I sort of wanted to jump on here today. I'll just quickly check any of the other comments there as well. Data, social announcements. Adam, I hope I've covered those for you. Hi, Dennis. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. So the other reason why I wanted to cover this topic today and the data privacy issue is that I've sort of always been tentative to talk about it, because I talk about how to make better campaigns, but it is something that as advertisers and as users we need to be mindful of. And I think maybe we need to change that conversation as far as advertisers, knowing that we do have access to that data, as how can we become more responsible with it? And I'd like to lead that kind of movement of being upfront with how you are targeting people and what you are showing them and why you're showing them. Because soon, probably sooner rather than later, you're not going to have a choice. Like, you're going to need to tell people how you're going to target them and how you're going to use the information that they're handing over to you. And whether that information is just, typing in their name and email, it's even a step back from that. And when they're interacting with you and clicking through to your website, there's a little thing coming in over in Europe called the, oh my God, I just had a mental blank, the GDPR, I think. I hope that's it. God, I hope I haven't stuffed that up. That's a privacy issue and a privacy policy that is being implemented on May 1st. Will soon go worldwide. We'll have it here in Australia. But if people don't abide by the new policy and the new rules, they won't just give them a little slap on the wrist and give them a warning. They actually fine them a percentage of your overall revenue. So, it might be 1%, I don't know what the percentage is, depending how big the breach is. But as soon as it starts to hit people's bottom lines, they soon come into line with where they should be. So I like to talk about how you can better be upfront with people, be transparent, and that's, I guess, Facebook are trying to be better at that. Again, I've got a foot in either camp, and they say they are, but I know they're not at the same point as well. And maybe I think you need to think about how we're targeting people, why we're targeting people, and I think it still comes back to making sure that what you're putting on the news feed is of relevance to them and actually gets a positive reaction from them. So I think as advertisers, we also need to think about the content that we're putting in front of people as well. But it also comes down to a technical perspective and how we do use that data and their interactions with it, and down to, when they are handing over personal details, whether that be signing up for a lead magnet, paying for a product, or signing up for a webinar or a course, being upfront like, hey, we will probably, most likely, most of the marketers will get that data and we'll upload it to Facebook so we can target you there. Like, I'm not sure what the solution is, and I'd love to hear what people's, if they've got answers, solutions that are much smarter than I am, how they can come up with it. But really, I think if we can put it in the back of our mind that we need to become more responsible around how we use people's information and their data. From an advertiser perspective, like, we're also all Facebook users as well, and I think we need to, also be pretty upfront with other people as to what data they are handing over to the companies and that they may not be aware of, and being able to spread that message that, hey, you need to be mindful of how you do interact with different brands online, and where you do put your information, and how you control your privacy online. And as users, we need to hold companies accountable that don't abide by those rules, because they're making it harder and more difficult for people that are trying to actually do the right thing. So it needs to go both ways. If we can be the leaders in how we use social media more responsibly, how we connect our different social profiles to apps, websites, sign in for different services. I think we just need to take a step back and be like, this is a big issue, and we need to really be a little bit more responsible with how we're promoting our businesses and our brand, educating people on how they can do a bit of a health check on your overall security and who has access to your data. And I do recommend that you go through and follow those Facebook steps to download a record of your profile and see what information they have. And then you can start the process of doing that little bit of a cleanup around your security. And even if it's something that plants the seed in the back of your mind that next time when you do go in to sign for a service, and it's got the option of signing in for Facebook or signing in for your email and password. Like, I'm guilty of it as well, that I'm just like, I can just hit the button and, my Facebook app's open, so it'll just grant me access. Maybe I can just take that extra 10 seconds to sign in with an email and password at least, so then they don't get access to any of the data that they shouldn't be. There's no even possibilities of that happening in the future. And being able to educate your friends and families to how they can be safer online as well, because that will improve the overall Facebook user experience. It'll help us as advertisers that are doing the right thing, because we'll get shown to more people at a cheaper price as well, and we'll get better results for our campaigns, provided what we are promoting and the people that we're targeting with is responsible and respects their space and their online space. So that's evolved into something a little bit bigger than probably what I expected today. And like I said, the link that I'll post has some other Facebook updates and things that directly affect advertisers. But for the immediate future, there's going to be some big changes, and we need to be able to roll with the punches. But if we keep on doing what we're doing as advertisers and being a little bit more responsible with the data, maybe that can help negate this little issue that Facebook are having, and I guess grow a more safer online for everyone and for future people as well. But thanks so much if you've watched the majority of this Facebook Live you're watching after the fact. Really appreciated your time today. Love to hear what your thoughts are. If you don't feel comfortable putting a comment on this post, by all means, feel free to send me a message. Would love to continue the conversation elsewhere and take it from there. But until then, it's signing off and going to clean up my Facebook history. Chat to you soon. Bye-bye.